I went from $20 in sales per day to $1,000 in sales per day in a matter of 2 weeks on this Etsy alternative website. Now, if you've been selling on Etsy, you've been thinking about selling on Amazon Handmade. In this video, I want to share with you guys my strategy that I've been using when selling on Amazon Handmade and how you can enter that market. Now, there is a big drawback from Amazon Handmade. And at the end of the video, I want to share with you guys what are those barriers, what are those drawbacks that's keeping a lot of Etsy sellers from coming onto the platform. And if you can overcome those barriers, you're going to be one of the few people that can cash out on the opportunity that is found on Amazon Handmade. For those that are new, my name is Vlad. I'm the top seller on Etsy. I also consult and manufacture for some top sellers. In these kind of videos, I like to go deeper dive on some of the things that I'm doing with my business. Some of the things you're probably not going to find on, find by yourself. These are not searchable type videos. So if you want to subscribe, hit that bell notification to be notified when I release my videos, go ahead and do that. Because like I said, you don't know what you don't know. So, the search engine is really not useful to learn things that you don't know. So make sure to subscribe to this channel. And what I want to talk about is what my general strategy on Amazon Handmade, kind of what I've been doing. I think this is going to be important talk. One of the things that I've noticed on YouTube is a lot of people are looking for Etsy alternative websites. And what you'll find the biggest drawback from those websites is that their traffic doesn't compare to Etsy, right? It's almost non-existent when you're comparing it to Etsy. But when it comes to Etsy to Amazon, it really is that same effect. Etsy is dwarfed by Amazon. Now, there's a misconception that's saying when you sell on Amazon Handmade, it's like its own marketplace and you don't get to tap into the traffic of the base or the main Amazon. That's not true. That's actually how I was able to grow really quickly, because when you just tap in just a little bit of that traffic on the big Amazon, you're going to be overwhelmed with orders. Now, my biggest barrier for selling on Amazon Handmade is my manufacturing, is my inventory. And so I'm very conservative when it comes to growing my business. I try not to take any debt. And I've been successful so far. In the beginning of my business, I did take on some debt. I took on a two-year lease on a lot of my equipment. I took out some business loans for my initial inventory. But I've been a lot more conservative as the economy is a lot more challenging and difficult. I want to make sure that I'm safe with a lot of things. So my constraints are really the manufacturing. And so when I do have the ability to 2x or 3x my growth, but I don't want to. And I like I said, I'm a lot more conservative in that. And right now I'm diversified to different selling channels. Etsy is obviously one of them. Amazon's one of them. And then I also sell through other sellers. I do a business to business relationship with other sellers that I manufacture for as a print on demand service. And so I want to make sure I take care of everything. I want to make sure quality is good, and I want to make sure my manufacturing keeps up and that we're not falling behind. So as I'm scaling, it's really nice to have Amazon as an asset that I can increase my sale at any moment's notice. Now, when I got suspended from Etsy, I'm unsuspended now, but when I got suspended from Etsy, it was nice to be able to just advertise my products and to grow my sales and replace the missing sales that I had on Etsy. So just the idea that you're able to advertise and able to recoup the sales that you're losing on Etsy just shows you the power of Amazon. And what the advertisement strategy. So I really have 3 different strategies that or 3 points to my strategies that I want to share with you guys in this conversation. One of them is my advertisement game. My advertisement game has been pretty, conservative. If you have the ability to really scale, you're not constrained by manufacturing, you're not constrained by the inventory, then these are going to be really good for you. But what I've been doing is I've been running advertisement. Now, when you run advertisement, just know that it's not going to make you money at first, because you're still testing out the market. There's a big marketplace. Etsy traffic is a lot more in tune, right? They're a lot more likely to buy from you because Etsy spends a lot of money on getting the right kind of traffic, right? Etsy doesn't sell everything under the sun, which means they need to get the right kind of traffic to their marketplace. And that's, why they needed such a big advertisement budget, because it is literally very specific kind of person. With Amazon, everybody buys on Amazon, which means the kind of traffic you're going to get to your listing is what I call dirty traffic. It's not perfect for your listing. And especially in the beginning, you're going to get a lot of that dirt that's going to cost you money. But over time, as you start to run more advertisement, you're going to see the keywords you're not making money on, and you're able to take them out and be able to find the keywords or other products that you're advertised on to really narrow in on your advertisement. And that's kind of what I've been doing in the early phases of my advertisement game, is I've been kind of narrowing into the keywords and narrowing into the kind of listings that work. Now, what's nice about Amazon Handmade is that you can actually advertise on other competitors' listings. And I've been doing that as well. When I find a listing that has, say, a 3.5 star and they're selling the same kind of product, roughly the same kind of product that I'm selling, I will advertise on those kind of listings that will kind of steal or siphon their traffic. Or a listing that is doing really well with their advertisement game, and I want to kind of grab onto that and coast. That's another really good advertisement game. So I've been kind of doing a lot of that. One advertisement strategy is kind of a broad, because I make dog collars, my advertisement would be a broad, just targeting a category or a topic. And then I would have an advertisement going to targeting certain kind of keywords. I'd have a big list of keywords and I try to advertise them and see which keywords do well and which keywords don't. And then the third advertisement strategy, I would try to find competitors to advertise and siphon their traffic. Now, I wouldn't run all of them all the time. In fact, most of the time I just go back to the topic one, because over time what happens is your listing gets fed with data, or the algorithm gets fed with data about your listing. And so then the algorithm knows more about your listing, which means it's more appropriate, at least for me, this is how it worked for me, more appropriate to do the automatic topic advertisement. So what would happen is let's say I'm doing $20 in sales per day. I would run advertisement and I'm able to go up to, say, $200 in sales per day with advertisement. Say, what would happen is that advertisement would generate me like $150 and then $50 from organic. Well, what happened is you went from $20 to $50, right? If you keep it long enough, your organic might go to $80, and then your overall could be going up to $300. And when I would be constrained, say if I'm short on money, because again, advertisement is going to cost you money up front. Or if I'm constrained on manufacturing or inventory, I would turn off the advertisement. And what would happen then is I would have that, say, 80 or 100 dollars in sales per day, and then it would come back to a new normal. So it used to be, say, $20 in sales per day, and then it's 50 or $80 in sales per day as a new normal for organic or organic traffic. And so I would do it in steps. Now, the reason I was able to go from $20 to $1,000 in sales per day is I didn't turn off the advertisement. But normally what I would do, like I said, I would step up. I would just run advertisement. It would find a new normal. And then once I figured out my constraints, I would run advertisement again and then stop advertisement, finding a new normal. And essentially that's what I've been doing. Like I said, I am very conservative when it comes to money spending and inventory, and I want to make sure things are done right. When it comes to manufacturing, you don't want to move quick and break things, because some things that do break really break. And I talk to a lot of people in the manufacturing space. They say one of their biggest mistakes that they have is they've moved too quickly. And so if you have the luxury on cash flow and resources to be able to go slowly, that's what they recommended to me. And so that's what I try to stick with. And like I said, I also diversify where my selling channels come from. So I don't want to overemphasize one area and not the others. So that's one of the strategies that I'm implementing when it comes to advertisement. The other strategy is when you're selling on Amazon, there's actually been times where I sell more on my Amazon listing, just one listing on Amazon, than I do on my overall Etsy shop without advertisement. So my Amazon listing would generate more sales per day without advertisement, more than my Etsy shop with advertisement. This shows obviously several things. It shows that there's so much traffic that you really just need one listing. And second of all, the Amazon's really about the listing. It's not about the Etsy shop, kind of like what Etsy is. So you make a listing that customers shop your listing, not your shop. In fact, you can't really open up a shop unless you do brand registration on Amazon, which takes a whole process. But you focus on one listing. You invest into that listing, you grow in that listing, and you run ads to that listing. It's really just one listing game. Now you can have several different listings, but you don't want to spread yourself too thin. And I've been just kind of focusing on just one listing. And that's been my second strategy, is just creating one listing the best that it possibly can. Thinking about photos, making sure it's edge to edge, photos as big as possible, focusing on those bullet points. Descriptions don't matter, but bullet points really, really do. And making sure that you have a presentable listing on just at the thumbnail. So really focusing on just one listing, and make sure one listing is sufficient for your customer. So that it has all of your best products, so that when customer, no matter which customer comes on board, they see and they'll like something. And so that's why I have like a pink, because I sell dog collars. So on the thumbnail, I would have a pink collar, but I would also have like a boy collar. I would also have a unisex kind of collar, and I would have something else that is kind of like piquing somebody's interest. It's like unusual design, like something you wouldn't find anywhere. So like all of these psychological things that I would put into the thumbnail to get as much people to be excited about that listing. And so those are the kind of things that I was implementing, is to make that one listing the best that it possibly can. And then the third strategy, and I kind of slightly mentioned that, is I found listings that did really well on Etsy, the ones that had the best click-through rate, that had the best conversion rate, people favored it more. I took those listings and I made, out of those listings, I made one listing on Amazon. And because you have the keywords already on advertisement, you have the kind of the data that shows you people are more interested in these photos or in these products, and I brought them over to Amazon into one listing. And so that gave me a better shot for success. When you just open up an Etsy shop, or that's why you don't want to run to Amazon quickly, because you want to test it out. You want to see what are the products that are going to do well in order to bring it to Amazon. Now, you could run a ton of ads to find this out, which is totally fine. But I would recommend, if you've been selling on Etsy, why not utilize Etsy, a kind of more of a slower pace kind of growth, to really find that natural balance for your listings and what your customers are like, and then bring it to Amazon with a strategy already in mind. So that's been kind of my general approach to Amazon Handmade. Okay, so what's the drawbacks? Why are people not going to Amazon? Amazon's not really friendly when it comes to cash flow. You're not going to get the money for that order that you've sold for at least a month and a half. So when the customer makes that order, you obviously have to fulfill it and ship it. When you ship the order on Etsy, when you ship the order and it's already in transit, you'll get your money pretty quick, right? So you just need to ship the product. Now, whether the customer likes it or not, you'll still get the money. But with Amazon, when you ship it, once the customer, and there's like a 5-day of shipping, once the customer gets it, it's 15 days after the customer has gotten it will you even have the money being available to deposit. And then there's periods when you're going to deposit. So it could be if a customer orders, say it takes you 5 days to fulfill it, so that's 5 days. You ship it out, that's another 5 days. So that's already 10 days. And then it's 15, and then once the customer receives it, it's 15 days after that, if your account is good standing. Sometimes when you just start on Amazon, it actually even takes longer than that. Or if you have some violations, it'll be even longer than that. So at your best time will be 25 days. And that's a long time from seeing oh wow, today we made a ton of sales, but you're not going to get that money for another month or so. And so that's what puts a lot of strain and stress, especially when you're scaling, is that you don't have that cash flow. So if you have, first of all, the ability to cash flow this thing, or maybe, and that's the thing, is that you also, that's going to be a restraint as well, especially for me, when the restraints are cash flow, is that you can't really grow that fast. You wish you could. If it was as short as Etsy, I would definitely be able to grow much faster. But when you have that restraint, you really feel it, especially when you go, say, you've been doing $20 or $100 in sales per day, and then you go to $1,000 to $2,000 dollars in sales per day. That is just that much more cash flow you're going to need to have, both for inventory, for employees, and being able to not need that money for that long. So if you have the ability to solve that cash flow problem, even if you do $200 in sales per day and you're able to weather that for 30 or 40 days, then you can be, the Etsy is really a place where a lot of people can't sell because of this. So you'll be one of the few people that sell. And it's really unfortunate. Etsy's a lot more friendly to people that don't have money. And that's kind of, there's a reason for Etsy. It's within Etsy's brand. But Amazon, they don't care. Like, it's, yeah, you have the money, then you sell on our platform. If you don't, sorry. It's like a pay to win. And it is what it is on Amazon. And the other thing is having money to run advertisement in the first place. Like I said, it's going to cost you money. Advertisement don't make money. On Etsy, you're more likely to make money when you're with your advertisement. You're more likely to say you spend $20 and you made at least 50, or you made at least 100, right? On Amazon, you spend $50 and you probably made $20 or $15 in sales. That's very common. Like I said, the traffic is very all over the place, and your listing needs to figure out where it's at in the Amazon algorithm. And so you're going to spend a ton of money. And it is what it is. And you have a card on file that's charged, and you're going to have to, plan for that. So if you do want to go on Amazon, make sure that you have some cash reserves for that kind of growth, whatever the growth that you want to do. And so that's been a barrier. So having money, and then that's really the big barrier, just having money. And the last barrier that a lot of people don't understand is if your product is not a creativity based or creativity focused product. There's a lot of people that have great creativity and they have awesome skill of creating a certain product, and it looks really well. And on the Etsy marketplace, it's more likely to be recommended because it has a certain wow factor. And so Etsy is able to really put your product on a pillow and present to a customer. Amazon's kind of like a warehouse, whereas Etsy more like a boutique shop. When my wife walks into a boutique, right, she doesn't know, like, she'll walk into the boutique, not that she has a need for it. You go in there because you're attracted with just the overall vibe. And then maybe you'll buy a flower pot. You didn't have the need for a flower pot, but when you were in there, you were just overwhelmed and you just found everything to look so amazing. And within that context, you bought that flower pot. But Amazon is kind of like walking into a warehouse. So if you don't have a need for the product, or the product is not needed by somebody, it's not going to be sold, right? There has to be, the value proposition has to be strong enough. Like, I'm coming onto Amazon so that I can buy this. And so people buy this, right? They don't just surf the Amazon just passively. No, they're like, there's a purpose they're coming for. So your product needs to be a purpose-driven product, right? It's like, this is what problem my product is solving, and people are looking for that solution, I will be solving it. So it has to be a lot more direct to the value proposition. And so if you have a product that does that, Amazon's your place. But if you have a product that's kind of like, if it's recommended, people buy it, but if it's not recommended, people don't know it exists, your product is probably not appropriate for Amazon. So hopefully you found these videos to be useful. Again, if you guys want to sell on Etsy or even Amazon Handmade, and you don't have equipment or machinery, but you do want to sell Etsy native products or products that are not found on PODs, print-on-demand websites such as Printify or Printful, there is a company that can manufacture and produce a product for you that is really Etsy native. So check out the link in the description below to find out how to get connected with them. Until next time, you guys have a great one.